Hello Perception Trainers community, and welcome back to another video. So in this video, we're going to be starting a new thing called Ask Aliyah Anything. So AAA, because I feel like I get a lot of questions. People message me or in Facebook groups or things like this, and I feel like the questions are really great questions, and I feel like these questions apply to way more than just one person, and I want to start to answer these questions in video format because I feel like so many of us are going to resonate with the things that very specific people are asking, and that we're all going to benefit from hearing the answer. So if you have, I was thinking of calling it, but Aliyah, what about my thing? Because I know that when we teach kind of general concepts, it can be challenging to see how these concepts of self-love or spirituality or whatever apply to our specific circumstances. And we can feel like, unless you say my specific thing, I don't know how what you're saying applies to my life. And so that's why I want to answer these questions, because I feel like, again, we as a humanity are not all that different from one another. We all really are going through pretty much the same stuff. And like I say, when we look at these spiritual concepts in the big overview, it can be very helpful to then take that overview, those concepts, and say, okay, so how does this actually apply in real life to this circumstance or this circumstance? So if you have questions that you want me to answer in these videos, definitely leave them in the comments down below, and I will select the questions that I think kind of, that I'm getting the most often, or that seem to be pertinent, or that are interesting to me, and I will answer them in these videos. So that's where we're going to go today. And then before we get started, I just want to let you know that, of course, I have lots of resources for you if you're on your kind of awakening path or self-love, healing, growth path. We got the 33-day body balance program. We got the Your Body is on Your Side program. We got the perception diet. We got the Aliyah Mystery School. We got the emotional mastery series. We got the transformation series. We got all that stuff, and it's all linked down below. So yeah, and then again, if there's not a video on Monday, there will be a blog. There's always stuff going on, so check the website. That all is great. Okay, so on to today's question, which is all about desire. And I feel like this is such a fantastic thing to explore, especially in this world where we kind of live in this dichotomy of either just like going hog wild on all in our desires and not questioning anything, and just kind of YOLO, I guess is a way we could look at it, of just, I'm just going to do whatever the frick I want all the time, and be mad about the consequences most of the time, or just slough off the consequences, it doesn't matter. Or we're kind of afraid of our desires, especially in the spiritual community. So I want to read the question because I feel like my answer is going to make more sense based on the question. Okay, so this was from my Aliyah Mystery School Facebook group conversation we were having. So she says, Aliyah, do you think there are true and false desires, or shadow desires? I think most people have so-called desires because they are trying to get away from something they don't want. They desire this because they don't want the pain of that. For example, desiring a healthy body because you have a sick one, or desiring success because you feel like a failure and success would finally give you the approval from mommy and daddy, etc. You say that we will never get rid of a desire, but if we heal the underlying shadow, the desire would be obsolete, ? Maybe true desire are only formed once living in alignment. And okay, so I feel like this question has so much stuff that we can dig into, and the way that I want to answer it is this, okay? First and foremost, let's talk about what alignment is, all right? So from any vantage point, we can look at desire, or we can look at alignment as being from a universal perspective and being from a relative perspective. So alignment is something that overarchingly, if we all want to look from the universal perspective, alignment is simply having an experience that causes us to discover new information, right? Overarchingly, we are all simply consciousness participating in the becoming aware of itself. We are having experiences, and these experiences are showing the universe itself, consciousness as a whole, each one of us having our relative singularity experience, interacting as the reality with the reality in a unique way that has never happened before. We are participating in the universe seeing itself in a way it's never seen itself before. So this is when people say, you know, you can't get life wrong, you can't do it wrong, there's no way to fuck it up, it's all perfect, blah, 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 you can't actually be out of alignment. I believe this is what they're talking about. It's this universal perspective. So long as you're here and having an experience, you are generating information for the consciousness itself about how it does and does not work, right? And overarchingly, again, even when we are living lives that are painful and we're suffering, and what this means, right, is that we are technically living out of alignment with the structure of how reality actually functions. That doesn't mean that you're out of alignment universally, because again, as we live in a way that opposes reality, as we break ourselves against the reality, we do things that cause us pain, and then we do them over and over again, and then we start to suffer. We are learning about how the reality doesn't work. Yes, that is a huge piece of information. And I feel that for so many of us, we still need to kind of grapple with this idea that a huge part and purpose of life is to figure out how life works through doing things that don't work. Yes, breaking ourselves against the boundaries of reality to figure out what the boundaries are. And it's kind of like a little toddler, right, who pushes the boundary, pushes the boundary, pushes the boundary until finally mom and dad say, okay, you can't cross that line. That's how they learn. And then, right, if they keep pushing the line, there will be punishment and pain continuing to happen. Or if they learn where the line is, I'm just going to pretend that this is like in a completely healthy household where the boundaries and laws are really just about, you know, your safety and you having a good life and not hurting yourself, not horrible, strict, abusive boundaries. Let's just pretend we're in this ideal situation where the boundaries are simply completely benevolent. If you were to align with those boundaries, yes, it works good for you. You learn how the universe works, how to do things in a way, you learn how your family works, how to do things in a way that benefit you and benefit the whole. And now you have learned a principle that, again, serves to help you understand how to get what you want in a way that doesn't hurt you, okay? That is what we're doing. That is what we are doing. That is universal perspective. So from the universal perspective, every single experience counts. It's every single experience, even if you are doing the exact same thing of breaking yourself against the reality over and over and over again, it's still new and different every time you do it. And we're still learning something new as consciousness. So is that good for extending the life of your vessel? No, because you're breaking yourself against the reality. But is it ultimately out of alignment in the sense that it has no purpose and it's not expanding consciousness? No, it's absolutely expanding consciousness. So from a universal perspective, there is only alignment. So long as you're here having an experience, you are learning something new, right? And your entire life might be pain and suffering, where essentially all you're learning is how things don't work. And that is in alignment because now the universe knows that. And it wouldn't have known it exactly the way that it does now had you not had your experiences. So that's universal perspective. So from universal perspective, everything that you do, every desire you have, everything that comes into your path, whatever, it's all in alignment because it's all new information that is expanding consciousness's view of itself. How it works, how it doesn't work, versus based on how things fall apart when we do them. So that's the universal perspective. Now, from the relative perspective, okay, we all have a potential. We all have a desire within us to become our highest, most evolved self, because that is, again, this kind of alternate purpose to life. So the learning and the figuring out how things don't work and then figuring out how things do work, mostly through the avenue of figuring out what doesn't work and then changing, and then doing another thing that doesn't work and then changing, and then taking that information and then eventually stumbling upon what does work, what the true reality is, how the structure actually is, how you actually are. And then we combine those two things. All right, so this is the magical alchemy of life, is when we start to understand how the nature of reality actually works, these universal laws and principles that are how the reality functions, combined with self-awareness, knowledge of how your unique fractal of the all that is functions, and what it is that you want to create from your individual vantage point, your individual skills, your individual interests, your individual experiences, everything that you've been through that makes you the singularity that can combine the relative and the universal realities in only the way that you can to create something new. That is potential. Yes, that's our potential. So rather than just expanding the universe's awareness of itself through figuring out what it isn't, you start to figure out what it is, and then beyond that, yes, you create something new on top of it. So this is what is creating the universe expanding. Yes, it's not done yet. We're not complete. So long as there are still people who are having ideas and creating things and doing things that have never been created and done before, we're expanding consciousness. We're literally taking what is this nature and structure of reality, and we're building upon it. Yes, so you can almost think of it like we're taking the laws and expanding them, making them more complex. Every single time somebody steps into their potential, right, which is not a finite thing. It's something that can continue to evolve forever. Every time we step into our potential, simply meaning we've taken what we've learned from our experiences about the reality and about ourselves, and we've combined that with our individual desire to create something that's never been created before. We're expanding the universe itself. So that is individual or relative alignment, is simply you being on a path where you are following the potential that you have to create something that has never been created before, to live in a way where you add to consciousness itself, not just through information of how it does or doesn't work, but through taking that information and then creating something that's never been created before, expanding upon the laws, expanding upon the nature and structure of reality itself, creating something new that then becomes the base for something else to be created. That is what our potential is. All right, and this is why I say that our potential is something that's going to be obviously always evolving as well, because every time we create something new, right, we've taken our experience of the reality and how the reality works, our experience of ourself and how we work, combine that with our individual vantage point, which is our individual desire to create something new. Again, that's going to just be the foundation for the next thing you want to create. And then you're going to have to discover more things about the reality, more things about yourself, combine that with a new desire, and then you create something new on top of that. And then that becomes the foundation for the next thing. And that can just keep going. That's evolution. Yes? So when we're looking at alignment, what most people are really saying is they want to be in alignment with their potential, what they could be. And again, we have to understand that how you're going to get to your potential is yet unknown by the universe because it's never been done before, right? The universe, again, knows the universal perspective, knows the universal laws and principles. Overarchingly, consciousness is learning about your relative self as you go along because you have never existed the way that you exist before. You are an aspect of consciousness that very well could be a result of the evolution of the people that came before you. Yes? And I think that that's really what we are as children. Like, that's pretty obvious. We tend to be the next generation where we are the next iteration on whatever our parents created. We're literally that. We're literally the next creation, right? Our two parents took everything that was them, put it together, and create, like through a desire, yes? this universal principle of sexuality, the individual principles of your mom and dad, who they specifically are, with the desire to create a child, made you the next iteration, the thing that's never been done before, a completely new thing. And then you're the foundation for all the things that you're going to create. So that is what we're really talking about most of the time when people say they want to be in alignment. They want to be in alignment with their ultimate potential. Now, this is where we get into the purpose of desire, okay? If we did not have desire, any desire, we would not have any impetus to go out and interact with the world. And it is through our experience of interacting with the world that we accumulate the knowledge that we need about the reality and about ourselves to create what we want to create. The only way to access your potential is to have desire that you follow through and learn from, okay? So when people look at this and say people have a shadow desire, right? So I'm wanting to get my body because my body, or I want a healthy body because my body is sick and I hate being sick. Or I want success because I think mommy and daddy will finally love me. And they will say, like, that's like a shadow desire. That's not an ultimate reality desire. So you shouldn't follow it. Or, right, we kind of have these two camps of most people who are not questioning their desires at all. Yes, they're just, I just want a better body and I'm just going to do everything possible to get it, and most of the time you don't. Or I just want success, and because, right, and there's no questioning of why I want success or where I'm really going with this or what my true desire actually is. It's just this feeling of, I want success and I'm going to do anything to get it. And then we see, you know, the kind of orange consciousness, we're all going to step on each other's toes and kill each other and go to war and all these things to just have this individual success. And it's just this drive forward without ever questioning it. Or on the other side, we kind of have the spiritual community or the spiritual people who are almost getting to the point where they're afraid of desire. They don't want to want anything. They don't want to need anything. They don't want to have any desire because they have seen that just following your desire without questioning it or really seeing what's going on tends to lead to pain. Now, why? Why would that happen? Does that mean we all are, right, out of alignment? And how do we know when we're totally in alignment with our true selves and when our desires are not a shadow desire? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is how we have to look at this. Every single desire is in alignment with your potential for right here, right now. Not necessarily because whatever you desire right now and why you desire it is your ultimate potential. That's not what it is. However, we need to understand that in order to get to our ultimate potential, it's going to be an acquisition of information, a new knowledge about ourselves and the reality, one piece at a time, that we put together like this giant puzzle until we start to see things clearly. So if we're in a sick body and we desire to be healed because we hate being sick, that's not a shadow desire. That's your desire from your level of consciousness right now. So of course you want to get away from your sick body. Of course you want to create a healthy body. Of course all that stuff. No one wants to suffer. And what you will see is that if you are to take that desire for the healthy body, even if it's coming from a totally, like it sounds like, right, a shadowy place of I just hate being sick, I can't accept being sick, I don't want to be sick, being sick makes me worthless, all of these things. The only way to discover what's really going on for you in your desire, the only way to have new self-awareness about yourself is to have a desire and to go start seeking it out and see, like, if you fail, when things don't go how you wanted them to, when things fall apart and you learn more about how the reality doesn't work through your experience, rather than saying, okay, that was a shadow desire and I need to get rid of that desire, you need to say, no, that was not a shadow desire. That was my desire from my level of consciousness, taking me to learn something one step above where I actually am. So whatever I thought I was going to do to get a healthy body, I'm going to do it. It's not going to work. Yes? And that is not a sign that you can't have a healthy body. That is a sign that there's just a lot of information you need to take in about how to create a healthy body that you don't know right now. There's a lot of information about yourself and about the reality that you are yet unaware of. And that next bit of information that you get, the first information you get out of the gate of seeking that healthy body, is not going to be the information that creates the healthy body, right? It's going to be, okay, well, that diet didn't work, so I'm going to try this other one. Okay, well, that didn't work, so I'm going to try this other. And eventually you get to a point, hopefully, where you say, okay, why are all these diets not working? What did work about all these individual things, and what didn't work about them? What am I thinking? What am I desiring? What am I making my body mean? Why do I want to get healthy? What does this all really mean to me? And you're going to start to realize that it's just far more complex than it was at your beginning stages when you thought you just wanted to get healthy to feel better. Same thing with the success thing. You're going to start, even if it's really just this root of I want mommy and daddy to approve of me, you will never see that about yourself. You will never know that about yourself, and therefore never have the capacity to evolve it and make it something more complex and more intelligent if you don't pursue success from that place. So this is really the bottom line, is that our desires are showing us where we're at in our consciousness, and it's forcing us to go interact with the reality in a way that gives us just our next piece of information. It's not the ultimate information. It's not the biggest overarching grand thing that's going to get you to your end result. You don't even know why you want your end result yet. However, if you didn't have the desire and you didn't start going after it, you would never know that. So this is why we have to stop being so afraid of our desires. We have to start to embrace our desires and say, okay, again, there is no such thing as a bad or wrong desire. It's simply showing you where your level of consciousness is at and getting you to go interact with the reality again in order to get your next piece of information. So I think really what we're looking at here, when people look at desire and think, right, people just get lost in their desire, it's because we're not thinking about it. We're not really learning from our interactions with the universe, right? So when we go out and seek something and we get it and it's not satisfying, we're not looking at why it's not satisfying. We're not saying, right? So that would be all the like, why did I want this? What was really going on here? Oh, there's this huge thing in me that I didn't even realize was there, and this huge wound, and I need to heal it. But again, I never would have seen it had I not pursued and got my desire. Second thing, if we're pursuing our desires and not getting them, that again is for us to realize, okay, my desire isn't wrong. My desire is stimulating me to go and learn things about the reality. And right now I'm learning about the reality through how it doesn't work. I'm doing all these things that are not working. And if I want to be someone who's intelligent and evolving through my desires, it's that every single time I do something that doesn't work, every single time I do something and I succeed and it doesn't give me what I wanted, I need to learn about why. What is really going on there? What is really going on in the reality, right? How things actually work are not how I thought they worked, or something that's going on with me. Why I am desiring what I'm desiring, and what the actual motivation is, and where the shadows are in me that need to be loved. And so it's not about getting rid of our desire, and it's not about saying that if we desire something and it leads us to pain, that was a wrong desire. That pain is just showing you, again, that's information you needed. So the bottom line here is, what we really cannot be afraid of is pain and suffering. Okay? Pain and suffering does not mean we're ultimately out of alignment. Pain and suffering only become relatively out of alignment when we don't learn from it. That's all it boils down to. We are here to suffer and have pain. That is true, because that is how we figure out the laws and the boundaries of the universe. We're never going to figure out what is until we do a whole bunch of things that are what it isn't. Because again, I fundamentally believe, and you can believe whatever you want, that what is, as in the complete picture of what you are going to need to do to become, again, this ultimate potential that will be evolving, isn't known yet. And it couldn't be known It couldn't be fully known how you're going to get from where you are to your ultimate potential. Because if it was, what would be the point of you doing it? If it were totally already known, if the universe already knew everything there was to know about how to get from where you are to where you want to go, there would be no point in you doing it. So you're discovering it along the way. And again, because we are unaware, we are fundamentally unaware of what we don't know. We are unaware of how things work. We're going to stumble around. We're going to have desires that lead us directly in the wrong direction. But it's not really the wrong direction if we learn from why it didn't work and then adjust accordingly. So this is really the true purpose of desire. Desire is the thing that's getting you to go and interact with the universe, to go and interact with your world, to learn things about yourself and about the reality that you have yet to know so that you can become your potential. Right? So pain, suffering, desires that take us in the wrong direction, desires that hurt, desires that cause us pain, all this stuff, it's not wrong so long as you're learning from it. Right? So long as you're always saying, okay, what happened there? Why did I want that? Why didn't it go the way that I thought it should? Why did it go the way I thought it should and doesn't feel how I wanted it to feel? All of these things, these are the questions we want to be asking ourselves. So now you might be asking, okay, well, Aliyah, does this mean that people who want to murder people should just go out and murder people? Are you just saying that people that want to rape people should just go out and rape people and like everyone should just honor their desires and we should just be living this crazy world? Okay, well, first thing I'm going to say is that's already happening, right? No one in a YouTube video is going to be making that a reality. That's already a reality. Yes? We live in a pretty chaotic world where people are doing a lot of crazy shit. And we need to be honest that, again, right, this is already happening. People are already doing this. Again, what's really not working for us right now is that we're not learning from it. We're not learning from it as a society, and we're not learning from it individually. We're still punishing murderers. We're still punishing rapists. We're still not understanding these foundational things of these are hurting people. This is a societal wound that is showing itself through these very self-destructive desires. So on an individual level, I'm going to assume that probably nobody who's watching this video is coming from a place of wanting to murder somebody or like genuinely believing that. And even if you are, the point is, when we really have a strong desire and to honor that desire, it doesn't necessarily mean we go and act on it. All right? So this is how we are going to get into what it really means to honor a desire. It doesn't always mean we have to act on it. Okay? A lot of the time, I believe the very first step in honoring a desire is to own that you have that desire. First, stop fighting with yourself that you want what you want. This is where I'm saying you're never going to get rid of this desire. Because again, it is the thing that's stimulating you to figure out the next piece of information that you need to step towards your potential. So whatever you want right now is trying to push you to go figure out something that you don't know right now that is the next piece of information you need. So even if it's, I want to kill somebody, that doesn't mean you go and act on it. You want to sit there and say, why do I want to do this? I open myself to the fact that I want to do this, right? And this is where all the self-love stuff comes into play. That we need to start to become mature enough to internally accept ourselves, internally have unconditional love for ourselves. Not, again, necessarily so that we can just go and act on everything we want to do. This is not YOLO. This is internal acceptance so that we can discover why we want what we want. This is huge. And this is the most, please understand that this is the revelation that will change your life if you get this, if you practice this. If you actually honor every desire, not to say you're going to act on everything, but you honor it in the sense that you say, okay, I own and accept the fact that this is what I want. It doesn't make me wrong. It doesn't make me bad. It's not all these things that I'm making it mean. And even just like, what am I making this mean? Yes, this is showing me, this desire is showing me something about myself that I didn't know was there, that I've been rejecting and denying and running from. That again, I need to know about myself if I want to become my potential, because so much about becoming your potential is simply becoming aware of yourself and evolving all the aspects of yourself that are in a childlike state right now. So the part of you that wants to murder or do whatever it is that you feel so bad about, that wants to binge, that wants to spend all your money, that wants to go have promiscuous sex, the part of you that desires the thing that you think is so horrible and so bad and that you're trying to get rid of in yourself, right? That everyone's told you is a shadow desire. That is a part of you that is wounded and immature. And it's showing itself to you so that you can learn to love and accept that part of yourself so that it can be evolved, all right? Because this is the thing. We do not evolve. We do not learn. We do not grow. We do not change. We do not become more complex, more a part of the web of life and interacting with the web of life in a harmonious way versus in a destructive way until we feel safe and loved, all right? Is so long as you are berating yourself, so long as you're beating yourself up, so long as you're resisting your desire with all your might and telling yourself how wrong and bad it is and using all your discipline to not do it, you are keeping that aspect of yourself immature and wounded. It cannot grow, it cannot change, and then you are just going to fight with that desire for the rest of your life. That is all that is going to do for you. If, on the other hand, you internally accept that this is what you want right now, this is where you're at right now, and you don't make that wrong and bad, and then you say to yourself, okay, I don't need to act on this desire. What I need is to question why I want this. What is this going to give me? What do I believe about myself and the reality that is so painful that's making me want this thing? What is this aspect of myself actually wanting? And we spend time with the part of ourselves that want these self-destructive things. So again, if these self-destructive desires or whatever, the first thing is we're all going to do it. We're all going to act on our self-destructive desires. And again, that's not wrong. This is not, again, about becoming so disciplined that you never act on a self-destructive desire ever again, because you're going to. The thing is when you do it from a self-loving place of being curious as to why you're doing it and what needs to be evolved, learned about yourself, learned about the reality in that self-destructive behavior, in that pain, in that suffering that you're causing yourself and that you're causing others, that's going to allow you to grow. So this is why we embrace our desires. Sometimes we embrace them from the inside and we just say, okay, I'm not going to act on this. I'm really going to question this stuff. And of course, talk to somebody. Like if you want to murder somebody, if you want to rape somebody, I would highly recommend speaking to somebody about that. And of course, but like I say, I don't think that that's really where people who are watching these videos are coming from. You probably, again, are more trying to fight with your desire to binge or to spend money or to quit your job again or to sleep in late or to be lazy or whatever it is that you think is your self-destructive thing. You need to own, this is what I want right now. Now, why do I want it? What's the need that I think is going to get met if I follow through with this desire? What am I truly denying and repressing about myself? What am I denying and repressing about the truth and the nature of reality? And then again, if you act on your desire and it causes you pain, rather than blaming and shaming yourself, which is just going to shut you down, so you cannot learn from what you just went through, and now you're just going to have to do it again. So think of it this way. If you really want to get rid of your self-destructive desires, own them and learn from them. That is how you evolve. That is how you change. That is how you grow. So when I say you're never going to get rid of a desire, I don't mean you're going to want to binge or spend money or have promiscuous sex or be with the wrong person for the rest of your life. What I mean is if you embrace that desire and you start to learn from it through that unconditional acceptance of it, So again, some of it's going to be acting on it and seeing what happened. Why did I do that? What was I expecting? What did I think was going to come of that? What actually happened? What did I learn? Why didn't it go the way that I thought that it would? All of these things. What is going on in me that's making me want this thing? What did I actually think was going to happen? What are the stories I'm telling myself and about the reality that I was not aware of until I started trying to act on this desire? That is how we evolve the desire until eventually we don't want to do these self-destructive things anymore. Because again, you're going to learn something about yourself, learn something about the reality, learn something about your needs, and see, okay, well, the binging actually isn't meeting the need that I have. Because now that I've done all this questioning work and I've allowed myself to do it a couple of times, I see that what I really wanted was comfort and numbing because, oh my God, there's all this shit in my reality that I don't want to look at and that I don't want to deal with. So what I actually need is to learn how to say no a little bit. What I actually need is to learn some boundaries. What I actually need is to start to express myself for how I really am and see that even if I get rejected, I don't die. And then all of a sudden you can start to meet your need on a much deeper level that you discovered through having that desire to binge or to spend money or to have promiscuous sex or whatever it is for you, right? You learned what you were really trying to get there. And you learned why your thing that you were doing wasn't working. It was sort of working. See, and that's the other thing you got to realize, that every self-destructive desire you have is working to a degree. It's semi-meeting a need that you don't even know you have. So if you really want to get rid of a self-destructive behavior, do it. And really question, what am I getting out of this? What am I wanting? What's the point? What am I learning? What am I learning about myself? What do I need? Okay, this is a part of myself that I need to say no. I always hoped that I was going to become the kind of person that could meet everybody's needs, and that is clearly not a reality. Because so long as I'm trying to do that, I'm spending money like crazy. And so maybe if I don't want to keep spending money like crazy, I need to start saying no. And then you start saying no, and then all of a sudden you don't want to spend money like crazy anymore. You've evolved, right? So this is what I'm saying. Your desire is stimulating you to learn something about yourself and about the reality that you need to know to become your potential. You're never going to get rid of a desire. You can evolve desires. And this is the thing too, is like, the thing of desiring a healthy body. That desire may never go away. But as you continue on down your path, your reasons for why you want it, your reasons for how you're going about getting it, your reasons for all of this stuff is going to change as you evolve. You will become someone who can lead others to health and have all this, right? It might become your business. It might become your life path. And it started with, I just don't want to be sick anymore. Yeah? And so it evolves as you embrace that desire and learn from it. So this is really the thing with the desire. You got to embrace it. Sometimes you embrace it internally. Sometimes you embrace it externally. Whatever the thing is, learn from it. What is this here to teach me? And so your desire can always be something that takes you on the path to your potential, so long as you're learning from your experiences. The only things that takes you out of alignment where you're just destroying yourself is when you resist what you desire, you resist what's the lessons that are coming to you from acting on your desires, and therefore are not learning, growing, evolving, changing, and expanding, and therefore you're dying. Learn from your desire. They're gonna cause you pain and suffering every once in a while. Maybe a lot right now, because you're at a low level of consciousness, a low level of understanding how the universe works. That's okay. Learn from it. Learn from it. Embrace all of it, and you can evolve, okay? So if you have questions you want me to answer in these videos, you can leave them down below. Like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. And yeah, I'll see you in the next Ask Aliyah Anything video. Mwah.